Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of 6 for 6, ladies and gentlemen. We are season 2, episode 22, with some great college football action coming up this weekend. So, in honor of college football week 1, all of our pick'ems this week, ladies and gentlemen, are all related to college football. We can't do it out without it. So we're going to dedicate this week to college football. So we're going to give you the 6 best games to watch this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. The very best 6 that I think are the best sporting events to watch this weekend. But first, before we go into the 6 college football games to watch this weekend, we got to look at last week's record. I think it's one of the more interesting records that I've seen in a while. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Last week's record, we were 2-3-1. So we had 2 wins that we got right, 3 incorrects, and we had 1 tie, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, basically we covered across the board with wins, losses, and ties. So that's very unique and interesting, I would say. But that kind of makes our record a little bit more complicated. We are 56, 54, and 2. So yes, those ties are starting to build up now. That's either good or bad, but that's because of Major League Soccer, because you can get ties in there. So your pick is not wrong because your team didn't lose. So you can't make it an L. But at that point, your team didn't win. So it falls into the tie category. You can say, oh, yeah, you're wrong. You didn't pick the tie. It's like, yeah, you can put that in the loss column. But I would say it's a tie because they didn't lose. But they didn't win. So that's where it fits in the tie category. So that's where it lies. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at the 6 best games to look at. We're going to start off with something nice, simple, and easy. Get us some action, Big 12, Pac-12 action, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start this off with Friday, September 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. We got TCU in Colorado. We got Big 12, Pac-12 action late at night. So you got Pac-12 After Dark at its finest, ladies and gentlemen, with Colorado. Guys, this is going to be interesting. I don't think Colorado could do it, but at the same time, they gave Utah for the run of their money last year, losing 28-13. But if you look at TCU was all over the board. Like when they played Oklahoma State last year, it was 63-17. So you don't know what you're going to get for this TCU team, but they didn't score a lot of points over 30. But if you look at Colorado, they're in the same boat. They didn't really crack that 30 threshold. So new team, new year. ESPN has TCU winning with a 68.5% chance of winning. I'm going to have to agree with ESPN on this one over Colorado. I think TCU is a team that can put up points, but also, as we can see last year, they can struggle as well and not put up a lot of points at all because they lost to Kansas State 31-12. So TCU last year was all over across the board, but I think TCU rebounds and take care of business Friday night in the Pac-12 after dark hours. I think TCU will take care of business in this one, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move up into the 5th spot. We got Big Ten action Thursday night when we truly get week 1 underway. Thursday night action. We got Penn State, Purdue. Purdue is home. I can see it being a trap game where Purdue causes some pandemonium. First game of the season, first game jitters, Thursday night football action. We saw Ohio State have that last year where Ohio State came out sluggish in the first half when they played Minnesota last year. So I could see Penn State mimicking that where they come out and they struggle in the first half and maybe dominate the second half. So I'm going to lead in Penn State, but I wouldn't be surprised that Purdue gives Penn State for a run for its money this year. And even ESPN has Penn State winning with a 60% chance to win compared to Purdue's 40. But that 40% chance is very large and looming, and Purdue's at home, and it's a night game. So it's very build up the momentum for Purdue to make this a trap game already in week 1 of this college football season. So Penn State could get a rude awakening, a struggle in the first half, but I think Penn State will find a way to close this out. If not, it'd be an interesting shock for Penn State losing week 1. But I think Penn State, ladies and gentlemen, will take care of business and find a way to keep the dub in this magnitude of this game in week 1 over Purdue. But ladies and gentlemen, you can catch this game Thursday night, which is tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Fox, ladies and gentlemen. And I got Penn State winning this one. Next up, we got some more Thursday night football action in the world of college football. We got West Virginia, the Mountaineers versus the Pitts Panthers, who are ranked 17th in the nation right now. You can catch this game Thursday, September 1st, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. This is the Big 12 ACC action right here, ladies and gentlemen, between the West Virginia Mountaineers and versus the Pittsburgh Panthers. I know I saw going through social media that West Virginia busts out their country roads uniforms. I don't know if it's for this game, but maybe for the rest of the season. The premise of the country road uniform is mapping out the interstates that go through West Virginia. So they have Highway 70 going through it on the shirt. And then the helmet, like the pinstripe going straight back, ladies and gentlemen, is like the yellow lines, yellow solid lines that we see on the roadway. So it's very cool jersey to look at if you ever get a chance to look at the West Virginia Country Roads uniform. Definitely good in that sense. I like what they did with the creativity on it and all the hidden details that you can see within the numbers and stuff like that. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to pick a winner in this scenario. I feel like Pittsburgh, after they came off of a great high last year with their, quarterback and trying to make a, very convincing run that they did at the ACC title and taking care of business. I don't know if they can repeat it because they don't have that quarterback at the helm, but I want to give the benefit of the doubt that Pittsburgh will have another solid year in the ACC, and it starts off tonight. I wouldn't say not tonight, but tomorrow against West Virginia, and plus they are home, so it's a great way to get a home opener. You got your students back on campus. I know it's not the best time for it, but it's Thursday night football. It's like, I understand you got classes on Friday for students, but I think it's a great way to kick off, the semester for those Pitt students. And definitely a night game is always a great atmosphere when, the stadium's full and it's a good solid matchup coming through. So definitely tune into this one. And I have Pitt winning this one. You can catch this game tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. Now let's move up into the top three games, the ranked matchups that I like to say we could all figure out what number one is, but you can argue 2 and 3 in debating if you want to rank, 3 higher than 2 or vice versa, or keep 2 higher than 3. But we got to reveal the number 3 slot, ladies and gentlemen. The number 3 slot is the Cincinnati Bearcats. Yes, the team that made it to the college football playoffs, that broke the glass ceiling for the group of 5, is going up against an SEC opponent in the Arkansas Razorbacks, who had a hot beginning last year and then started to fizzle out because their momentum could not keep up with their hiding and exciting electric behavior that they were going on. Once they hit that Georgia defense, their season kind of unraveled. But the Arkansas Razorbacks this year are 19th in the nation compared to Cincinnati, who did 4, drop down to 23. So Cincinnati is looking to climb back up the college football rankings to get themselves back into the playoff contention with another undefeated season. And I don't think you can have another debacle. Like, could you leave them out? Because they just went undefeated again into the playoff scenario. So it would be quite interesting if Cincinnati can go undefeated again and maybe sit in the 5th slot, and the committee has to do splitting hairs to figure out, does Cincinnati belong? Or you can't look at last year's performance against Alabama and saying, well, they didn't do so hot against Alabama. So it's going to be like splitting hairs. So I want to see Cincinnati run the table again to give the committee another headache decision and try to figure out if they belong in the college football playoffs again or somebody else should be in over them. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But ladies and gentlemen, ESPN has Arkansas winning it with a 59.6% chance of winning. Knowing me, I think Cincinnati's hungry to come back and trying to repeat what they did last year and get back to the college football playoffs and maybe survive the semifinals and get a shot at the national title. So I think Cincinnati's on a vengeance tour. They're on a campaign to get back to the promised land of the college football playoffs, and that starts with against Arkansas in this scenario. So I think it's going to be one of those games where it's campaign driven to get back to the promised land of the college football playoffs for Cincinnati. And ladies and gentlemen, you can catch this game Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. And ladies and gentlemen, I think Cincinnati is going to start that campaign back up again and try to get another shot at the college football playoffs, try to redeem themselves, struggling against Alabama last year, but having another shot at an opportunity to compete in a college football bowl game and probably get the 3rd seed and maybe give the team who's the 2nd seed a run for their money that we have to wait and see. But we'll have to see how the college football playoffs unfold. But ladies and gentlemen, I have Cincinnati beating Arkansas Saturday, September 3rd, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. The number 2 slot, ladies and gentlemen, is another no-brainer on this list. You have the Oregon Ducks, who are number 11, versus the Georgia Bulldogs, who are number 3, the defending national champions, back in action Saturday, September 3rd. So at the same time as the Cincinnati game, you can catch at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ABC, ladies and gentlemen. I understand Georgia lost a lot of key pieces on their defense, and their quarterback is coming back on offense, but he wasn't a gunslinger. He wasn't slinging the ball up and down the field. So when you look at that, that's going to be a telltale sign on how this Georgia team is going to be performing. Though I don't want to count them out that they say they can't make the SEC title game. I don't think they can back-to-back the national championship, just losing you how good their defense was last year and how many pros that they send up to the NFL. But I think this is going to be a close game. I shouldn't say close game. I'm not sure how I'm going to rate this game, but I want to say what I'm looking at ESPN, I think it's highly, 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 highly inflated. They have Georgia winning this game with almost a 92% chance of victory. So ESPN says it's a 91.5% chance for them to winning, giving Oregon only an 8.5% chance of winning. That's extremely disrespectful to Oregon. And I know the Oregon coach is going to use that to fuel his players, saying they're not giving you a chance to win this football game. So that with that fuel in the fire for this game, I think Oregon's going to make it close. But I'm going to think since Georgia is the national champion defending, they'll find a way to close this one out because they know how to play close games against good opponents and finish out. But that defense is not there for this Georgia piece. So that's what I'm thinking. Oregon's going to linger in this game and give Georgia a headache from start to finish if their defense is not going to perform what we're going to think it's going to perform. I think it's the bottom line in this. It's going to keep Oregon in this game, and Georgia's going to have to find a way to do a last key drive to keep them ahead and win this football game. That's where I'm going to go out with, and that's where I'm going to have Georgia winning in this slot. Now, let's reveal our number 1. I could do easily a quick recap. So let's do a quick recap before we reveal the number 1, and then after that, we'll do a full recap of all our picks, and then we'll close out tonight's program. So with the number 6 slot, ladies and gentlemen, we have TCU versus Colorado, Friday, September 2nd, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN, and I have TCU winning this one. Next up, we have Penn State versus Purdue, Thursday night, September 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Fox, and I have Penn State winning it in a close one. West Virginia versus Pitt is next. Pitt is number 17 this year. It is also Thursday, 1 hour before the Penn State game kicks off, so you can catch that game 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN, and I have Pitt winning this one. Next up, we have the 3rd slot, Cincinnati Bearcats, number 23 in the nation, versus the Arkansas Razorbacks, number 19 in the nation. You can catch that game Saturday, September 3rd, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. And I have Cincinnati pulling this upset in this one so they can start their campaign to get back to the college football playoffs, if not at least close to a good solid New Year's 6 if they finish a good record this year. Next up, we have the number 2 slot. We have the Oregon Ducks versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Georgia winning this one. You can catch this game September 3rd, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ABC. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we have the no-brainer of the week. The game that everybody knows that is going to be all across the board. College game day is going to be there. All the excitement, all the special guests coming through, ladies and gentlemen. It's the one, the only Ohio State Notre Dame game. Number 5 Notre Dame versus number 2 in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes. You can catch this game Saturday, September 3rd, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on ABC. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a game to watch. They have Ohio State as almost a 17-point favorite in this game. I think that's justified. I could see 17 points. People, before we got to this point, it was 14 points. I'm thinking I could see 21, but I don't think so. I feel like 17 is a justified number in this game between these two teams. It's just Ohio State's offense is just so dominant. I just feel like Notre Dame can't keep up. That's the only drawback to this. If Ohio State didn't have such a high-scoring offense, maybe this game would be maybe a 7-point difference or maybe 14-point difference instead of 17. But Ohio State just has such elite wide receivers and CJ Stroud on top of that. It's just hard for Notre Dame to compete. I know Notre Dame is going to do their very best to compete in this football game and make it close and a thrilling game from start to finish. But I just think Ohio State has such great talent this year. Like people say, it's their year to win the national title. I think I agree with that. It's their year to win the national title as well. I know you could say, oh, Trevor, that's biased because you're an Ohio State and you're an Ohio State alumni. But if you just look at the team on paper, it's just so solid around the board. You can't count them out for not being in the college football playoffs. If they find a way to miss it, that would be a travesty. And how much hype that they have going into the season, 100 year of the anniversary of the stadium. So it's literally like the stars are aligning for Ohio State to win the national title this year. I don't know what else that they need to say this team is destined for the national title. You could say all you want to say, but I will have to say the Ohio State Buckeyes will take care of business against Notre Dame this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on ABC, and I have Ohio State winning it. I'll recap my overall, season so far. We have, my last episode's record, 22-3-1, so 2 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie, which that puts our overall record to 56-54-2. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll do a quick recap, and then we'll close out tonight's program. So TCU over Colorado State. So I have TCU winning this. You can catch this game Friday, September 2nd, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. Next up, we have Penn State versus Purdue, Thursday, September 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Fox, and I have Penn State winning it. Next up, we have West Virginia versus Pitt, who's number 17 in the nation. You can catch that game Thursday, September 1st, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. Next up, we have Cincinnati, who's number 23 in the nation, versus Arkansas, who's number 19 in the nation. You can catch that game Saturday, September 3rd at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. Next up, we have, and I have Cincinnati winning this one. Next up, we have Oregon, who's number 11 in the nation, versus the Georgia Bulldogs, who are number 3. You can catch this game Saturday, September 3rd at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ABC, and I have Georgia winning this game. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Notre Dame, who's number 5th in the nation, versus Ohio State in the shoe at a night game with a rowdy crowd. Over 100,000 fans will be there in attendance. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes winning this one. You can catch this game 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on ABC, and I have the Ohio State Buckeyes winning it. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that'll conclude tonight's program. Thank you so much for tuning in, and enjoy all the college football that is happening this week. Even games that I did not mention, definitely tune and support those schools to get them higher TV ratings and stuff like that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy your week, and as well as sporting events. That'll be it for 6 for 6. We'll catch you next week on another edition of 6 for 6. So long for now. Bye-bye.